Picture this. You are 13 years old, living in the freezing wilderness of the Ice Age. Without warning, your body turns against you. Your joints ache with sudden growth spurts, your skin breaks out, and your stomach feels like a ravenous, bottomless pit. Your brain is suddenly flooded with dopamine and testosterone, screaming at you to do something reckless. Leave the warmth of the fire, step out into the freezing pitch-black night, and prove that you are no longer a child. But right outside that cave entrance, a pair of yellow eyes is watching. A saber-toothed cat is stalking the perimeter. You are no longer small enough to be carried, but you aren't strong or wise enough to kill an apex predator. You are trapped in the most dangerous biological transition on Earth. How did ancient teenagers survive this awkward, lethal gap? And how did our species survive when our own youth were constantly trying to get themselves killed? In the animal kingdom, puberty is fast, efficient, and merciless. A young wolf reaches adult hunting status in just over a year. A fawn learns to outrun predators in mere months. But humans, we take nearly a decade. Prehistoric adolescence was an absolute biological disaster. First, consider the metabolic nightmare. A growing teenager in the Stone Age required an absurd amount of energy, up to 3,500 calories a day. That is more food than a fully grown hunter needed, in an era where finding a single meal meant risking your life against woolly mammoths and hypothermia. Second, look at the brain. During adolescence, the limbic system, the brain's emotional and risk-seeking engine, fires at maximum capacity. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, long-term planning, and saying, maybe I shouldn't throw a rock at that cave bear, won't fully develop for another 10 years. To make matters worse, rapid growth spurts temporarily drain energy from the immune system, making teenagers physically clumsy and unusually vulnerable to infections. You were hungrier, more reckless, less coordinated, and biologically driven to take senseless risks. By every cold, hard biological metric, human teenagers should have driven our entire species to extinction. And yet, look around. We are still here. The terrifying vulnerability of prehistoric youth didn't destroy us, it shaped us. So how on earth did evolution turn our biggest weakness into our ultimate superpower? First, evolution slowed down our growth through an extended brain upgrade. While every other mammal rushed to maturity, human tools, fire-making, tracking, and language were far too complex to be hardwired into instinct. Archaeologists studying fossilized teeth from ancient hominids discovered that human childhood gradually stretched out over millions of years. This prolonged teenage buffer gave the human brain an unprecedented period of neuroplasticity, a temporary window where the brain can rewire itself rapidly based on experience. While a teenager's body was awkward, their brain was operating like a hyper-efficient sponge, absorbing complex survival tactics, social dynamics, and weapon crafting. The physical delay was the exact price paid for high-level intelligence. Second, we evolved a metabolic reserve, a human fat bank. The teenage growth spurt consumes massive amounts of energy to build denser bones and heavier muscle mass. In a brutal winter, a sudden famine would mean instant death for a rapidly growing teen. To combat this, humans evolved a unique biological cheat code. We are the only primates on Earth that store high percentages of body fat right from early childhood. This body fat acts as a biological emergency battery bank. When food was scarce, a teenager's body could burn its own fat to keep the expanding brain fueled and the bones growing, preventing sudden organ failure or starvation during lean months. Third, our ancestors turned teenage recklessness into migration. That terrifying urge teenagers have to break rules and explore dangerous territory wasn't an evolutionary mistake. It was the engine of human expansion. Scientists note that the adolescent craving for novelty and social status was precisely what drove young adults to push beyond the boundaries of their tribe's home territory. Older, wiser adults preferred safety and routine. Teenagers, driven by a desire to prove their bravery, were the ones who dared to cross uncharted mountain ranges, brave raging rivers, and explore alien landscapes. Their reckless ambition pushed humanity out of Africa and across every continent on Earth. Finally, there was the tribal safety net. An Ice Age teenager never had to fight the world alone. They were shielded by a complex social web. Archaeological digs have uncovered prehistoric adolescent skeletons showing severe healed fractures, spinal deformities, and crippling illnesses. Yet, isotope analysis reveals these individuals lived for years after their injuries. This is undeniable proof that ancient tribes cared for their injured youth. Elders shared high-calorie cooked meats, grandmothers helped manage camp stress, and experienced hunters guided impulsive teens away from fatal mistakes. The tribe provided a safety net, giving teenagers the one thing they needed most: room to fail, heal, and learn. Through a brilliant mix of delayed biological timing, metabolic survival hacks, and fierce tribal unity, adolescence ceased to be a death sentence. It became humanity's ultimate training ground. The clumsy, impulsive teenagers who survived the Ice Age emerged as master strategists, veteran hunters, and resilient leaders, ready to conquer the planet. Today, going through puberty might feel like a quiet crisis of awkward body changes, sudden mood swings, and social anxiety. We no longer have to worry about cave lions lurking outside or starving in a glacial winter. But remember, every rush of adrenaline, every urge to explore, and every uncomfortable change happening inside you right now is an ancient biological inheritance. It is the refined machinery of millions of years of desperate survival. Growing up has always been a wild, dangerous battle, and your ancestors already encoded the winning blueprint into your DNA.